I'm going to start dyeing some of my flowers, solar wood flowers, for my wedding bouquet. The first step is to pick out what type of flowers you would like. I'm looking at going with these here. If you do these roses here, the dip dye does not always work well because the tips will unravel. You will end up more like these flowers. These flowers, I'm going to do this light pink and maroon color. I have 18 gauge wires. I may or may not use some peonies, but I'm going to do about 40 flowers for the actual bridal bouquet. And then I'm also going to add in bits of this blue, kind of like berries with this little flower. And I'm going to take apart some hydrangeas, and you just take off this, and each one's individually wired, and bunch about 3 hydrangeas together. Once your flowers are dyed, I placed a floral 18 gauge wire, looped it around the stems, and attached it with some floral tape. Then I decided to do some mini bouquets. That seems to work best, a little bit easier. So I grouped about 3 flowers, 2 greeneries together, and then when I had a bundle, I wrapped it with floral tape, and now I'm just putting all those bundles together, making sure none of the same flowers are together. I then ended up taking it apart and adding some baby's breath and some berries. So once you have your bouquet to your liking, I attached a zip tie just to measure it and make sure it looked good so it was easier to take apart. But once I was happy with it, I am now wrapping it with my floral tape, just enough to make sure it's really on there well and not going to come off when we take off that zip tie. Now that it's all secure, we need to cut our stems, trim it down so it's not so long and so it's nice and even there. I like to do about 2 hand widths down and cut just a smidge past that. So I'm just going to use some of my floral wire cutters to do that now that I have my measurement. Now that it's all nice and even, I realized that I have some of my floral wire showing, so I'm just going to pull off some more of my Ruscus greenery here, and I'm going to glue mine to it. I just thought that was easier just to cover up those wires showing. You could also stem them and just place them a little bit lower and attach them with some floral wire. Floral tape. You could also use a thing called stem covers, and that also make your handle a little bit thicker if you'd like. Also, when you are adding this greenery at the bottom, make sure you don't go too low as well, so you're not wrapping your ribbon around the greenery, otherwise it'll look a little bumpy and not as smooth when we wrap it. Also, nice thing with the glue is if your greenery, it kind of gets droopy over time, so you can use the hot glue to just add it exactly where you want so it doesn't move while it's being moved and as you walk. Now we need to wrap this with some ribbon here. I am applying my ribbon with hot glue. This first piece will be covered up, so it's okay that my end's a little crooked with my cut. You could wrap the very bottom if you want. I decided to leave some of my green stems showing at the bottom, but that's just a preference. Now to give me a nice clean end here where I cut, I'm just applying a little bit of hot glue and bending my ribbon over so it's a nice straight clean line versus that jagged cut that I did, and then I'll glue it to the other side. You could stop here if you would like, but I also decided it just seemed a little plain and I will be adding some lacy ribbon to it. Before I glue anything down, I'm just trying it, seeing which way I like best. I always recommend trying it first before you glue anything permanently down. You'll see I try several different methods with my lace before I finally decide I'm happy with one. So it also takes us a lot of just trial and error to figure out what we like as well. I decided to keep all these in just in case you liked any of these, even though I didn't go with it. you could add these extra little pearls, just gluing them on there if you would like. I decided not to. I also thought about these little like pins that had the little beads. I just have to cut off that wire piece since it was really long, but I think I'm going to leave them off. I am going to do a nice little cut on my ends though. So here's what my bouquet ended up looking like. Doing mini bouquets and then just bunching them together really was the game changer, and it made it so easy. So get out there and make your own. Don't be intimidated. Till next time, happy crafting!